Well, Shaka Hislop, it's been a while since you and I were within 6 feet of each other. We're still not today. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. This is the longest the hair has been for a while. As you say, I've got more hair product than hair, so let's swiftly move on.
Yeah,
Today we're going
please.
to be talking. Today we're going to be talking about your best goalkeepers in the Premier League since football began in
Apparently, yes.
in 1992. Before we get to your five, and we're going to keep a secret, the order, until the end, what was the criteria for getting in?
I was looking for the goalkeepers that impressed me most, and just to kind of maybe give a hint as to one of those names in there. He hasn't been in the league that long, but hugely impressive. Other than that, you look at players or goalkeepers who've been involved in some of the most successful teams in the Premier League era, and their contributions in those teams. That being said, even with that narrow criteria, some of my favorites over the years, in particular Nigel Martin, is one who did not make the top five. I was trying to find a way to shoehorn him in, but I've tried to leave my biases at the door.
Okay, before we get to your five, how many would you have had to pick to get Shaka Hislop in your top XX goalkeepers in the Premier League?
How many goalkeepers have there been in the Premier League since 1992? Roughly 268 I'm going to go for. I think I would come in at 270 if that were the case.
Self-deprecating as always, Big Yen. Okay, let's get to any order you want right now, because we're going to show your order at the end. Why don't we start with someone that you've just mentioned? He maybe hasn't played as many games as the rest of them, but he's in the Premier League right now. Who's that?
Alisson, coming in at number 5. And he's in not because of the number of games by far. He's played the least in anybody in this list, and probably anybody else who's been in any kind of contention. But I've been hugely impressed by Alisson, albeit over the last 2 years. When you talk, looking at goalkeepers and their importance to teams, as much as I mentioned successful teams, you have to look at goalkeepers who come up with big saves when needed. You have to look at goalkeepers who have what I term a presence in between the sticks. And I think Alisson has shown that. Now, all that being said, you could probably say the exact same for David De Gea during his time at Manchester United, albeit not over the last couple of years, where I think his legacy has been badly damaged. So much so that he's not in the top 5. So maybe that longevity has cost David De Gea, and maybe it will cost Alisson whenever we're doing this again in the next 5 or 10 years. But as of right now, I'm going to include him. But I had to bend some of my own rules and get him in there.
Hey, it's your house. You can have whatever curtains and carpets you want.
I'm more than 6 feet away from you, so I feel confident in saying that.
So you don't have David De Gea, but you do have another Manchester United goalkeeper in your top 5. Who's at number 4?
Edwin van der Sar. I don't think you can question his quality for Manchester United. I don't think you can question that he played his best football of his career for Manchester United as well. Given their successes, given the teams that he was involved in, and as good as they were, I think it served Van der Sar well that he played for Manchester United towards the back end of his career. And he brought a certain level of experience to that dressing room, which now we can discuss till the cows come home, whether athletic, maybe whether or not the big saves that some of the others who were in this list or didn't make this list, but I don't think you can question his contributions in terms of experience, his know-how, and how I think he completed those teams of the later part of the 2000s for Man U.
Of your top 5, this next person in at number 3 made the second most appearances of your top 5. Who is your number 3?
David Seaman. No, I said David Seaman. I'm going back to my David De Gea name. David
Seaman.
Yeah, David Seaman. Listen, I think it's forget how good David Seaman was for Arsenal, and you also discount his own talents, given how good Arsenal's back four were at the time. But David Seaman, without question, for both club and country, one of the best goalkeepers in world football at the time. And it's it's hard to leave David Seaman out of any list when you're talking about great goalkeepers. Again, maybe time has maybe dulled the memory, but not for somebody like me, and not for somebody as talented as David Seaman.
Now, the fact that this next person idolizes you, grew up wanting to be you, has your jersey in his so-called man cave, had nothing to do with the fact that this next goalkeeper's at number 2, did it?
Yeah, well, that's the story I tell. But Petr Cech came in to Chelsea as almost as an understudy to Carlo Cudicini, and then given the nod very early on. Now, back in the Manchester United, no, again, I'm getting this all in a muddle. Chelsea paid an awful lot of money for him at the time. If memory serves me correctly, and I didn't look this up before, I think it was something like, was it 9 million or so? Anyway, it was a lot of money for a goalkeeper at the time, and it raised a lot of eyebrows. But I don't think when you look at Petr Cech and his career and his contributions to Chelsea, the number of clean sheets that he kept. Again, I can hear the naysayers talk about Chelsea and how defensive they were at the time. But Petr Cech, without question, was one of the best goalkeepers that the Premier League has seen. And again, maybe time may numb some of the memories about his own contributions to this league. But in terms, and again, talking about the criteria that I mentioned earlier, a presence with a goal, a reliability with the big saves, a reliability not to make mistakes, Petr Cech was amongst the best. So much so that there's only one better.
There is, but hold on. We're not going to get to that player just yet, because I'm going to throw a curveball in here for you. Okay? I had a look at the top 100 goalkeepers in the Premier League as far as clean sheets are concerned. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Your number 1 is not in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name as many as you can of the top 5 players who've kept 100 or more clean sheets in the Premier League?
David Seaman, Petr Cech, David James, Joe Hart.
Nope. You've got 3 so far. You've got Seaman, who's at 4. Petr Cech's kept the most clean sheets, 202.
Brad Friedel. Is Brad
Nope.
Friedel in there?
David James is 2 and David Seaman is 4. We need 3 and 5. That's pretty good anyway, even if you don't get these 2.
Yeah,
There's an Englishman and a foreigner.
Another Englishman and a foreigner. Is Nigel Martin in there?
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned him earlier. Nigel Martin's at 5, so who's at 3? This is the foreigner.
Yeah, no, I'm drawing a total blank here.
Tall Aussie.
Oh, Schwarzer?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Is that high?
151 clean sheets.
I did not realize he had that many clean sheets. Fair play to Mark Schwartz.
There you go. So that's a good stat. But none of those 5 are your number 1. Who is your number 1 Premier League goalkeeper since 1992?
I've said this time and time again. The best goalkeeper I've seen play is Peter Schmeichel. In terms of big saves, in terms of being there for his team, a presence in goal. There's nobody in the league that has had the kind of presence in goal that Peter Schmeichel had. And I go back, and as much fun as I've had certainly about the 95-96 season and Newcastle's and our own capitulation that season. We played Manchester United at St. James's Park. We lost 1-0. Our only loss at St. James's Park that season. Cantona scored the goal for Manchester United to win it. That was the pivotal game of that season. I don't think I have seen a better individual performance by a goalkeeper in the Premier League than I witnessed. I was on the bench for that game, but Peter Schmeichel that day effectively won Manchester United that title. And that was 90 minutes of an outstanding career. 90 minutes that summed up exactly how good, how important he was to Manchester United. He was simply phenomenal in every single thing that he did.
So Peter Schmeichel, you're number 1 as we take a look at the graphics again of your top 5 Premier League goalkeepers since 1992. And with all this time on your hands, Shaka, tell you what, there's still time for you to make a move up from 270th to get into Shaka's top 5, maybe for next time.
As long as I break into the top 268, that's what I'm going for.
High five. So that's all I got.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.